What's going down? I need to go grab my drink. I forgot that in the kitchen. Got a little bit of that Monday live action. You know what I'm saying? Who don't like a little Monday live action? Y'all like a little Monday live action. All right, let me just post this to IG. Let me go grab my drink out of the kitchen. I forgot it in the kitchen. And then we are lit. We are lit. All right. Hold on 1 second. What's going down, baby? It's your boy that got my high tuning back in for another reaction, and it's a little extra, Monday live action. You know what I'm saying? We don't normally go live on Mondays, but we are right now. So come join us. Link. A whole lot of Monday live action, baby. All right. Boom. There's that. Boom. Let me bring up the. What up, David? What up, Brian? What's going down? All right. What up? I need to go grab my drink from the counter real quick. Be right back. 1 second. We litty. Boy, it's Thursday. I got cotton mouth. Ain't about to lie to you. Mouth dry, you know what I'm saying? All right. Make sure y'all, comment, like, subscribe, all that good jazz. Share the live. Let's bring as many people in here as we can. You dig what I'm saying? You all good, David? Shout out to you. If you guys want, remember we did add some more memberships. There's a few more membership options that you guys can pick from. So we got the $2.99 option for the high members. We got the $4.99 option for the really high members, and we got the $9.99 option for the highest members. So go figure out, go look and see if if it entices you a little bit, and think about joining. You dig what I'm saying? And then also anybody who is a wrench. I'm going to be, shout out to you, Skylar, and I'm only remembering to say this because you weren't in the live last time or yesterday. If you have a wrench, I'm going to be watching and seeing who's actually like helping push and move the channel forward. If at any time that I feel like you're just kind of like just hoarding the wrench, I might just have to we might have to just renege on the wrench thing a little bit, just so we can give it to somebody who's gonna actually help push the channel, who's actually gonna post, all that good jazz. So Skylar, shout out to you. I appreciate you being a mod, but mods you gotta push, bro. You gotta be a part of the actual engagement and helping bring new engagement into the channel. So yeah. Appreciate you. But anyways, let's jump into this, man. We got a rapper who ate his roommate. Gang. That's not some gang shit. That's really some creepy shit. And I think it's time that we see what this is. I saw this title, bro, and was like, oh, we got to see what this is about. Because that just sounds wild. But anyways, let's go. Let's see what this is. What up, Ally?
Horrorcore, a subgenre of hip-hop where
Hell yeah,
rappers will take their lyrics, imagery, and messaging to the darkest brinks that
Hell
they
yeah,
can
Brian.
possibly
Yeah,
imagine.
keep sharing.
At
Make sure
times,
everybody
this
shares,
genre gives us some
comment,
hard-hitting,
like,
intense storytelling that is
and
both
subscribe.
effective and artistic. Other times, it can be
It's
a
free.
bit gimmicky and seem more like a competition to say the most messed up thing possible, even if it means nothing. However, there is another category of horrorcore that has made the genre as controversial as it is, and that's when artists actually do the things that they are rapping about. Today we'll be talking about Big Lurch.
I mean, oh, damn, bro, I haven't heard that name in forever. Big Lurch. He did eat. He was a cannibalist. Damn, bro. Okay, I don't know the full story about that, so I'm interested. This is about to be like a little history lesson because I do remember about like hearing about this, but I've never, it was before my time and before I was like, I don't know a whole lot about Big Meech. I just know not Big Meech, Big Leech or whatever. It's because Big Meech is the BMF dude, and that dude wasn't the dude eating people. It was the other one. But yeah, Big Leech, I believe.
First two's crime was more intense and disturbing than anything he ever rapped about. A crime that included Class A drug use, murder, and actual cannibalism.
Fuck, if I remember
this crime
correctly.
Greatly overshadowed the career of Big Lurch, so unlike other episodes where we dive deep into their musical career, we're instead going to cover that briefly before jumping right into this insane case, because trust me, there is more than meets the eye when it comes to the case of Big Lurch.
That is some wild shit. Like, this is why you don't do drugs, kid. You know what I'm saying? Because you know he's about to be on some fucking PCP, some Flocka, some fucking bath salts or something. Like, he was on something wild. Like, there's no way that this is. Liz is here. No, Liz is still around. I don't know what made you think that. I don't know what you made. I was talking specifically to Skylar. We only have 2 moderators, and right now only one moderator is doing, like a really hard push. So I gotta, tell Skylar what's up. You know what I'm saying? Need you to keep pushing, bro. But yeah, let's continue. That shit's wild. He's on some crazy shit.
Antron Singleton was born on the 15th of September, 1976 in Fort Worth, Texas. He had an early interest in poetry, but in the 80s, this turned into a passion for hip-hop and he started rapping under the alias G Spade. This would later become Big Lurch because of how tall he was, standing at around 6'6" in size. In retrospect, Lurch had a lot of success in the 90s from an underground perspective, and he wasn't even really doing horrorcore at the time. He started collaborating with the likes of E40, RBL Posse, Mystical, and Too Short. Many of these artists are still well known today and had a huge impact on the hip-hop scene in the 90s, specifically in the West Coast. Big Lurch wasn't as well known as some of his contemporaries, but he was right there with them, collaborating, networking, and rubbing shoulders with some of hip-hop's biggest names. On top of this, he was quite talented and sounded right at home with the rappers he collaborated with.
We jumping. Right ways with no assumptions. I'm ready to roll with something. If you wanna come get it, I'm thumping. We get split quick, fucking with this, you don't understand. This ain't your average man.
Apart from his solo career, Lurch formed a group with 2 other musicians, Dooney Baby and Rick Rock. Together they created the trio known as Cosmic Slop Shop and released one studio album, The Family. From everything I was able to find, this album was also quite good and definitely well put together. Unfortunately, this didn't translate to sales and the album wasn't that successful. They had one song called Sinful that did decent numbers and got a small bit of radio play, but apart from that, the Cosmic Slop Shop weren't all that successful, and although there was a lot of potential and talent within the group, numbers weren't there and the group disbanded in 1999. That was the end of Lurch's musical endeavors in the 90s, and although he wasn't a famous artist by any stretch, that particular decade wasn't all bad. He got his foot in the door, collaborated with quite a few accomplished rappers, and managed to release a full studio album through a record label with the group that he helped create.
You know the thing that I noticed about like all these videos right now? Like, he just seems out of place, bro. Like, he doesn't have like that like super confident like rapper like presence, you know what I'm saying? And maybe that's just I just I don't know, these videos that we're seeing, like he just seems like he's just there like an extra.
It looked like the 2000s might have been the decade that Lurch could truly find his success, but it started off in the exact opposite direction. On the 16th of September 2000, Antron was hit by a drunk driver and was badly injured. In order to cope with the pain that his crash brought him, he started taking PCP, otherwise known as angel dust, a highly addictive hallucinogenic drug that also numbs the user. Although it could technically be used to numb somebody's pain, PCP is one of the most intense drugs in the world, as we've learned with so many cases where people do insane things. Well, unfortunately for Lurch and those around him, he would be right in the midst of this insanity less than 18 months after his car crash. In the
And
early
that shit sucks too. Let's acknowledge the fact that like he didn't have like a serious drug problem until he got into that accident. Like it's crazy how one thing that really it doesn't even sound like it was like in his hands, like it was like a freak accident, you know, like legit an accident that changed and altered the entire course of his life. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the true definition of karma right there, bro. That is karma. Karma is not you know, giving somebody $1 now and then, you know, in a few days, $2 is going to come back to you. Fuck that. That is not karma. Karma is the situations you have to directly deal with after every moment, right? Like karma is right now, right now, right now, right now, right now. You know what I'm saying? Like every second you're dealing with the repercussions of a decision, right? Of a choice. Like that's karma for real. It's not like this fault. Like I just don't see. I've always wondered, and like when I used to think about karma, it used to never make sense to me. Like you know, you're like, oh, you know, I'm gonna try to do something good and hope that something good comes back. Like that's almost like a religious thing. Like you know, like that's what it seems like. Where it's just like you're like, oh, you're like I'm gonna pray and then hope that something good happens. Like it's like a religious thing. I'm gonna give him $1 and hope that I get two back. Like that's kind of how I can like logically make that shit make sense to me. But when I look at it from a perspective of like karma is just what you have to deal with after every fucking decision that's made, whether it's your decision or someone else's decision, like that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like he didn't think that, you know, that day he was probably gonna get hit by a fucking car, right? But once he got hit by the fucking car, well shit, he had to figure it out, right? And then that, you know, created this on like this downhill spiral of drug abuse and him ultimately eating his fucking roommate. Like this is nuts.
2000s,
But
Big
that's
Lurch had started to
like
perform horror.
that shows what I was talking about the other day about karma and how karma is just a direct reflection of every decision you make at every given moment in life.
Music. It wasn't a new genre by any means of the imagination, and he had definitely dabbled in it before,
What up, Mama
but
Dear
he was
Dorf?
ready to make a full project in the
Man,
summer.
I gotta get back out to Tennessee. My bad for keep pausing, but I gotta say what's up because Mama Deardorf has come back in the live again. I gotta get back out to Tennessee. I gotta come meet Mama Deardorf because I don't know that I met Mama Deardorf the 2 times I was in fucking Tennessee. So I got to get back out and see the boys and you know, see Mama Church, see Mama Deardorf, see all the peoples. You know what I'm saying? I miss you guys. All right, okay. I just had to put that out there. But anyways, let's go.
While he was recording this project, he was living in
Karma
a
and
Los
kindness are
Angeles
different
apartment
things.
with
Facts,
a few
Rob.
friends, including 21-year-old Tanisha Yesias and her boyfriend Thomas Moore. On April 9th, 2002, Thomas Moore and Antron started smoking
Mama
PCP
Deardorf.
together. According to Antron and almost all of the people who were in the apartment
Miss
that
Tina.
night, what actually happened was a blur, but the next morning, one of Tanisha's friends, Alyssa Allen, entered the apartment and found Tanisha's body. Her chest had been
Damn.
torn open. Tooth marks were found on her body and small parts of her remains were seemingly missing. Shortly after this, Antron Singleton was found in the streets of LA near his apartment. He was completely naked, covered in blood, and he was screaming at the sky. He was immediately apprehended and taken into custody. A medical exam was conducted that showed that Singleton had recently consumed flesh that was not his. At first glance, this case was open and shut. Antron Singleton had taken PCP with his friends, and a few hours later, he killed and ate parts of his roommate. Now, it is more convoluted than that, and
that's why you don't do drugs, kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't do nothing. Don't do that. You know what I'm saying? If you smoke a little weed, smoke a little weed. You know what I'm saying? You gonna smoke a little weed, smoke a little weed. But don't do nothing laced. Don't be smoking PCP with your weed. You know what I'm saying? Don't be doing nothing that you don't need with your weed. Just smoke a little weed and that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, goddamn. Like, he smoked a little bit of PCP with his homies and shit. Like, hey man, we just kicking it back. You know, I got a little bit of pain and shit. This probably wasn't his first time smoking PCP, but for whatever reason, that shit fucking smacked him, you know, a different way. It just was like, psh, psh, bitch slap. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, boom. He went home and ate his goddamn. Bro, this is the craziest shit ever. Like,
but as far as the justice system was concerned, this was more
Other
than
than the fact
enough.
that, like, I've heard
Singleton
about it.
pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity, but this defense failed, and in 2003, he was found guilty of murder
Yeah, he
and
willingly took
aggravated
the
mayhem
drugs.
and was subsequently sent to life in prison without the possibility of parole. As I mentioned previously, Antron was working on a horrorcore album, and unfortunately for him, some of these songs were used against him in court. Specifically the song I Did It To You, a song where he talked about murder in a cold and unabashful way and compared himself to multiple different fictional horror characters and real-life serial killers.
Yeah, Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, and Freddy Krueger, Jeffrey Dahmer, Charles Manson, and all of your friends I'm friends to school ya. For murders of Harry, I'm using a torture chamber and not a Ruger. So if you wake up and I put up a blood, I did it to you.
I did it too.
This song was from the album It's All Bad, and it was actually released by the label that he was working with a year after he was sentenced. A very strange and morbid promotional tactic they used was through the album artwork of this record. It was a Photoshop picture of Big Lurch holding a platter with a human skull on top of it, very obviously alluding to the horror crime that he had committed.
That shit right there, like, now that fucking cover makes so much more sense. Like, I mean, I guess it never didn't make sense because it was a horror album. Like, the whole album is him talking about, like, killing people and shit, pretty much. Like, you know, doing heinous acts and crimes and shit. But, like, now that shit is full circle for you right there. Like, goddamn, a platter with a human skull. It ain't just some horror shit of like, oh, I'm coming to get you. I'm Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger. Like, they just hurt them victims and killed them and shit. You know what I'm saying? You more like Hannibal Lecter in this bitch. You know what I'm saying? You definitely didn't Hannibal Lecter eat his fucking victims? He was a cannibalist, right? I'm pretty sure.
It was around this time that people started to ask some questions. The label were obviously trying to profit off this crime, and this put some interesting question marks on the case. The more people looked, the more people found, and as it turns out, there was a lot more discrepancies with this case than people think.
You just say like crackhead strength, like PCP, you get fucking crackhead strength on fucking
Big Lurch didn't necessarily profess his innocence immediately. However, he always claimed that he had no idea what had happened on that night, and that it's entirely possible that there was a lot more to this story. The first reason there may have been some discrepancies was his label. He was signed to a record company called Black Market Records from Sacramento, and it's safe to say that they had quite the reputation. They would promote their artists as dangerous criminals, and they did everything in their power to sell this gangster image to the masses. We already talked about the disturbing album artwork that they released, but what you might not know is that Black Market Records had actually done this before with another artist named X-Rated. Rated was another rapper from the Sacramento area who went to prison around 10 years prior for murder. Black Market Records, his label at the time, released 4 albums while he was behind bars, and although it was apparent that X-Rated was involved in most of this, it's also very clear that Black Market Records were willing to market his music in whatever way possible. Allegedly, they did the same thing to Big Lurch. Apparently, when they found out that he was smoking PCP for his pain, they decided to provide him with even more drugs in order to authenticate his gangster image and make...
That's crazy. I mean, we've definitely, like, I don't think any of us are naive to the fact that, like, record labels will do what they have to, you know, make their money, recoup their money, you know what I'm saying? You know, they're going to do what they got to get their bread back that they spent on you. But that's a crazy, like, concept and, like, thought process to think, you know what I'm saying? Like, damn, like, bro, like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, that is, like, that's crazy. Like, I wouldn't want to be in that situation. I wouldn't want someone who didn't have my fucking best interest at heart controlling or, you know, influencing my day-to-day life, right? Like, that's, man, fuck that. That shit's crazy.
Believable. This same argument was
DJ
made
Loach?
by Tanisha's mother, Carolyn Stinson, who actually filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the label, claiming that they had fed Antron the drugs that led him to do this. This lawsuit didn't really go anywhere, but this theory remained quite popular for a while. However, it's not the most popular alternative to what happened that night. A documentary called Big Lurch, Rhyme and Punishment was released in 2011, and Big Lurch and Tanisha's mother told us a different side of the story.
As far as her boyfriend, he was a gang member, I believe he the one set all this up. He was beating on her. She had all her stuff packed, ready to leave the day all this happened.
They got me high on purpose to take advantage of me.
She got hit in the back of the neck with a one of the little kids' scooters because a handprint was on the scooter, bloody handprint. But they said they didn't know who that was. But it wasn't his.
It's not even no proof that I actually did the murder. My prints wasn't on her weapon. It was a dope house. They didn't find no dope in the dope house, though.
She didn't
So
smoke.
they tried to treat your ass like a pit bull, nigga? They tried to treat you like a dog? They was like, yo, get this motherfucker doped up. Get him as high as you can. Send this motherfucker to like Uranus. Like, send him to Venus. Send his ass to Pluto. And then, like, put some chocolate syrup on her ass or something. Like, I'm not saying that they put chocolate syrup. I'm over exaggerating. But put something on her ass. Put some sauce on this bitch. And let's let this motherfucker eat her. Like, what kind of sick ass shit is that, bro? Like, that's wild. This shit is crazy.
It was like
oh shit.
somebody pulled it down. You know, the bottle was pulled down her throat because she had so much in her system. They said ain't no way she could have smoked that. Footprints, fingerprints on doors, you know, bloody fingerprint. You know, shoe at the back door, you know, and it's like, where all this evidence go? It was DNA. Who DNA was? They said DNA came up lost. So they made it look like he did all this work to her. There's no way he could have done that work because the way she was messed up, hatred had to been there. And like he said, he didn't hate her.
All right, so that's a lot to digest, so let's
Hell
quickly
yeah, that's
break
a
down
lot to
everything that was
digest.
just said. Firstly, Carolyn Stinson claims that Tanisha's boyfriend, Thomas Moore, was the man who orchestrated this killing. Apparently, they had been fighting both verbally and physically, and Tanisha was more than ready to leave the apartment and the relationship. Antron also believes that he was set up because of the amount of PCP found in his system and her system. According to the medical examination, it was a surreal amount of PCP, and this immediately raised some eyebrows.
So how
Secondly,
did he-
there was a lot of details about the case that was oddly looked over.
How did he survive,
For
though?
example, as Carolyn mentions in the clip,
Like,
there was
obviously
a
we know
bloody
she got
handprint on the
attacked and there was
scooter that
more to the
used in
story,
the
but
attack. This
how
handprint
the
did
fuck
not
did he
match
survive
Antron's
having
hand,
that
but
much
it was never
PCP in
looked
his
into
system?
further. There was also footprints and fingerprints around the actual crime scene that,
What up,
again,
Joshua?
was not looked into. Furthermore, the tooth marks on the actual body did not match the
Yep,
teeth
yeah, I
of
remember that
Antron,
fucking
and he
X-rated
actually believes
shit.
that they more than likely belonged to a baby pit bull that lived in the apartment as well. On top of all of this, there was a lone shoe that was found right by...
Hold on, bro. That's some crazy shit. DJ Loach said, you know what? Can we go back to the ghost shit? This shit right here is some satanic ass fucking ritualistic shit right here. Like, what the fuck?
crime scene that
This
didn't
shit is
belong
wild,
to
bro.
Antron or Tanisha,
There's so
and this
much to
again
this
was
shit.
not investigated further. It seems like at the very least there was a lot of negligence when it came to this case. Big Lurch did a 36-minute interview with Vlad TV where he spoke about this case further and claimed the only reason he pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity was because his lawyer told him to do so. Since his incarceration, Big Lurch has been studying
Would it
the
have
law
changed
himself
anything?
to try and get a retrial.
They still
So
would've threw
far,
your
this
ass
has been
under the jail, I feel
unsuccessful,
like.
but based on a letter I found that he sent to a fan, he is still optimistic and hopes that a retrial will happen. In all honesty, based on the evidence that wasn't analyzed and the facts that were ignored, it does seem like a retrial should happen. I'm not saying that anybody is innocent or guilty, but when you look at the facts that were ignored, it's clear that there could be something else that happened on that night, and we may not have all the answers. Regardless of the mystery that surrounds that night, the results were the same, and they're absolutely horrific. It was honestly hard to read about the details of that night because of how intense and disturbing they were, and this case has been remembered as one of the darkest moments in hip-hop's history.
It really is, bro. That shit is wild, bro. That shit is crazy. He straight ate his fucking roommate, bro. All right, let's watch the darkest art piece ever made.
Today we are going to be exploring one of the darkest performance pieces ever made. A performance that lifts a veil on some very serious taboos and explores them to a degree closer than almost any other art piece. It was called Rhythm Zero, and it was performed by a Serbian artist named Marina Abramovic. a person who often stretched the boundaries of her own artistic world to make a grander point. Rhythm Zero is often considered to be the ultimate example of this, and the concept was very simple.
So
What
she's
would
like an
happen if
extreme
Marina
artist?
left herself in a room for 6 hours with a crowd of people and told them that they could do anything that they wanted to her in that time? That's what Rhythm Zero was, and by all accounts, it was one of the most revealing performance pieces of the last 100 years.
She said they could do whatever they wanted to her for an hour. What? You know how many sick people there are out there and what kind of weird, sick shit people have going through their head that if you gave people permission to do whatever they wanted for an hour, that's like some purge shit right there. Did she, man, she
Zero
can't
was
still be
actually
alive
the
after
fifth
this.
well-known piece that Marina had performed, with the other 4 also being titled under the rhythm monarchy. These were Rhythm 10, Rhythm 5, Rhythm 2, and Rhythm 4. And it's safe to say that most of these pieces were boundary-breaking performances. This was most likely a response to her very strict lifestyle. She was born in Belgrade right after World War II, when Serbia was still a part of Yugoslavia. Her parents were so strict that until she was 29 years of age, she wasn't allowed to leave her house after 10 o'clock. She was
What?
actually doing these performance pieces while this insane curfew was sanctioned, so keep that in mind. With that being said, let's talk about some of the earlier pieces that were the precursor to Rhythm Zero. Rhythm 10 was originally performed in Edinburgh, Scotland, and it was a very confusing beginning to a very confusing career. The performance consisted of Marina, 2 tape recorders, and 10 different knives. With these knives, she attempted to stab the spaces between her fingers. Every time she missed and accidentally cut herself, she would switch to a different knife. She would then listen to the recording and try to replicate these cuts. It was a variation of a Russian drinking game that she turned into a dangerous performance. Like I said, a very confusing piece, but also a very formative one. She spoke about this performance in her 2016 memoir, which she titled Walk Through Walls. In the book, she says the following: "Beforehand, I was so nervous that I was scared I'd get one of my incapacitating whole-body migraines. I could hardly breathe from the idea that I was going to do this. But I was also serious about what I was about to do. 100% committed. I was so serious about everything then. Yet I think I needed this gravity. This was exactly how it was for me, even at the beginning. Art was life and death. There was nothing else. It was so serious and so necessary." This level of intensity is something we would see throughout her whole career, and it followed through with the rest of the Rhythm series.
That is like, bruh, I'm so lost. Like, what? You stabbed yourself in the hand trying to play that stupid stab between your fingers game, and then decided that you were gonna play back the tape recordings to then try to perfectly replicate the same injury. What? Somebody please make sense of this shit for me, please, bruh. I'm lost. Why would you do such a thing?
Rhythm 5, Marina continued her strange
up, Angel?
series of performances by literally
Right,
playing
bruh.
with fire. She started by lighting a wooden star. She then cut off her nails and hair and threw it into the fire. She then laid down in the middle of the star and remained there for the duration of her performance. This was a very dangerous piece, and at first she was reacting as any normal person would. Occasionally she would squirm anxiously, her body seemed very tense, and her eyes were mostly wide open. Eventually, all of this stopped, and it was not because she reached some kind of inner peace. It's because she was unconscious. It's actually hard to tell how long she was laying there like that, because none of the spectators noticed at first. But eventually, when bits of burning wood were falling on her neck and feet, and she wasn't reacting at all, the doctor in attendance pulled her out of the burning star. Interestingly, Marina wasn't mad that she lost consciousness, but she was very mad that she lost control of the performance. Keep this in mind because this theme of not having control is something she would take into her future performances.
This is wild, bro.
Rhythm 2 took this idea of
someone needs
losing
to throw
control
her
to
ass
an
in a
extreme.
fucking
In this
mental
performance,
hospital.
Marina
Like,
took
she's
medication
crazy.
that was used for people in a catatonic state. The medication specifically made her lose control of her muscles, but she remained conscious throughout the piece, meaning she was essentially able to observe the very strange and intense things that were happening to her body. But she wasn't able to do anything about it. She then took medication that was usually prescribed to schizophrenic patients to calm them down, and when she did this, she became mentally removed from the situation, and after the medication wore off, which took around 5 hours, she had little to no memory. This played into her idea of losing control. Even though she was conscious for the entire performance, she was mentally checked out and had no idea what was happening after the performance. Marina wanted to continue this idea of losing control, but unlike Rhythm 5 where the crowd intervened, she wanted to see what would happen if there was no crowd and nobody could help. She tested this idea in Rhythm 4. While alone in a room, she knelt down naked in front of an industrial-sized fan and attempted to breathe in as much air as she could. This of course led her to passing out, but like I said, there was no crowd this time, and she had told the cameraman, the only other person in the room, to not intervene, and also to not put the fan in the shot, instead only focusing on her face. This way the crowd wouldn't understand what was really going on and wouldn't try to help her. Ironically, after a few minutes of her being passed out, the cameraman actually intervened himself and got her help. Once again, an onlooker had taken control of the performance, and even though this was the right thing to do, it frustrated Marina, but also gave her the idea that would lead to Rhythm 0, the idea to abandon control completely and give it exclusively to the audience.
What kind of weird ass, bro? She
is
nuts.
In 1974, Marina began to conceptualize and set up one of the most intense performance pieces she would ever create.
I'm trying to like rationalize and see, like, I'm trying to see like the points or, you know, find some sort of rationalization in my brain of like what she's trying to interpret to me. Like, what are you trying to say? You know what I'm saying? Because all I've gotten from this is that you are a control freak. That's all I've understood, is that you're a control freak. And ultimately you learned, or your ultimate challenge in life, it was to not be that control freak, to just ultimately succumb to the lack of control that you actually have in your life. Because that's all this shit is. Like, I don't feel like I've learned anything else other than the fact that you're a control freak. Mostly probably because you were so fucking sheltered your entire life, so you never really had complete control of your life, even as an adult. So this was like your, like, I don't want to say weird, but weird attempt at trying to like regain control of your life and the situations that you decided to put yourself in. I don't know. This shit is odd.
The final act of the Rhythm series. Throughout these performances, she was slowly losing control, with audience members jumping in, hired employees intervening, and a non-stop air of caution being the #1 obstacle to her work. In Rhythm 0, she threw all of this away. Control, caution, and safety were virtually non-existent in this piece. It began with Marina laying 72 different objects on a table. Some of these objects were quite random and non-threatening, like food, water, flour, and lipstick. But some other objects were quite dangerous, such as a hammer, blades, a kitchen knife, and even a gun with a singular bullet. Behind her were an array of different slides that documented the process, and in the center of the table was a framed description of the performance that said the following. Instructions: there are 72 objects on the table that one can use on me as desired. Performance: I am the object. During this period, I take full responsibility. Duration: 6 hours. At 8 a.m., the piece began, and by all accounts, it started pretty tamely. People would walk up to her, lift her arms up, turn her around, and in general, it seemed like the spectators were testing the waters with this performance. Slowly but surely, the audience began to interact with Marina in ways that were more inappropriate, ripping off parts of her clothes, drawing on her, and kissing her. It was at this point that the veil had essentially been lifted. The waters had been tested, and the audience now fully understood that they could truly do anything to Marina with little to no consequence. At one point, somebody cut her and began to drink her blood. After around 4 hours, somebody placed rose thorns in her skin, and near the end of the performance, somebody took the gun on the table, put the bullet inside of it, and put it in her hand. They then lifted the gun to her neck and wrapped her finger around the trigger, almost as if they were going to try and force her to end her own life. An actual fight broke out in the audience because of this, and it went no further. This was the darkest the piece got, because soon after, the 6 hours were up. But the performance wasn't over. Throughout the whole piece, Marina had
That
stayed
is
very
crazy,
stoic
bro.
and hadn't uttered a word or gave any visual reaction to what was happening. But after the 6 hours, she began to pace around the room very slowly. She looked directly at the people who had done this to her, and the reactions were mixed, with some people looking and other people running out of the room. This part of the performance was not revealed beforehand. People didn't know that she was going to do this, and in a way it proved that people couldn't truly confront what they had done. History of yesterday summed this up well, saying the experiment proved the evil side of humanity is somehow contained because each of us needs to face the social consequences of our bad behavior.
That whole concept, the way she just rationalized all that, like, I'm not even, like, mad that she did that. Like, it's not even weird that she did that. Like, to confront people with what, like, the weird thoughts that they kind of have going through their head is, like, that was a very interesting, like, social experiment. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was interesting. Like, to sit there and, like, you know what I'm saying? The rest of them goddamn pieces made no fucking sense to me at all. Like, why you were laying in the middle of a star that was on fire, I have no idea. Why you sat there and decided to sit in a room in front of an industrial fan and suck in as much air as you possibly could beats the shit out of me. I don't know. Why you decided to sit there and try to stab your hand, I have no idea. Those are questions that I don't have answers to. Okay? But this last one, that one was interesting. That was a social experiment. To sit there and just give all the control of this performance to the audience and allow them to have everything from harmless objects like flowers and feathers and, you know, things like that, all the way up to, you know, the very dangerous things like blades and, you know, even the pew-pews and shit, you know what I'm saying? We got the pew-pews. Like that's crazy. And then to see what people decided and where they would take it over that 6 hours, getting comfortable with the situation, right? Like, they were comfortable with the situation. They had in the back of their mind, like, whatever happens, like, she said she's taking full responsibility, like, there is no repercussions for this. But to give them that, like, psychological mind fuck to, like, take home with them, like, that's powerful. Like, that's a performance. Like, that's some shit where you're like, whoa, yeah, all you weird, creepy motherfuckers, yeah, look at you up there on that big screen while you look at that. We can watch you back, and we can all sit there and be like, dude, do you remember that time that dude was that motherfucker had some crazy thoughts? You know what I'm saying? That was a cool social experiment.
Consequences, things change very quickly. This is an idea we have looked at many times, and the results are usually quite consistent. Things like the Milgram experiment, the Stanford prison experiment, and Marina's Rhythm Zero all stripped away consequences and replaced it with new rules, descriptions, and orders, and the result was the same. People did morally corrupt things. It's amazing what Rhythm Zero was able to achieve. It was simple in nature, but it opened up a dialogue, asked a lot of questions, and in a way, it changed the world of performance art. It's one of Marina's most talked about pieces, but by no means
because it's
was
the
she
only
done.
one that
she
makes
was only
sense.
In her 20s when she did this, and in the next 50 years, she would become a profound artist who became known as the grandmother of performance art. She made many more pieces that are worth talking about, but I thought the Rhythm series deserved their own video considering how impactful they were. I'll leave some links to the performances I discussed if you want to find out more info about them, as well as some links to Marina's
That's the only
laser
one
work.
that made
I think they're definitely worth having a look at. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
That's the only one that made sense, bro. The rest of them shits made no goddamn sense, bro. I was so confused at the whole first half of that video. I'm not even gonna flex. I was like, what? What are we watching? This doesn't make any goddamn sense. You know what I'm saying? It just really didn't. I was flabbergasted. But anyways, let's go ahead and go to some scary videos. You know
the scary videos on this fearsome top 10 list have caught creepy things on camera that you've never seen before. So let's get straight to the weird stuff and start screaming with fright.
Bill knows.
Number 10.
This is a channel I found the other day.
This creepy video is one of the scariest things I've ever seen caught on a home security camera.
what the fuck would you do?
A man is saved from getting struck by lightning when a bolt randomly lands closer to the house across the street rather than his own. These photos show exactly how much surface area this lightning strike covers. These would have probably been the final moments caught on camera of anyone standing nearby. At 1 minute and 51 seconds, you can see exactly how close the house was to getting struck by lightning. This square patch of scorched grass marks the spot where the bolt struck. If this area was their roof, it would have been devastating. Scariest of all is how there was no rain at the time. He was still wearing gloves and looks to have been gardening outside before this terrifying event occurred. Number 9. This scary video clip looks normal at first, but in a few frightening moments, some very creepy stuff happens.
Oh, you can see some feet.
Oh! Oh! Fuck that! Oh, I'm arachnophobic. See, that's why I would this is why, that's why right there, bro. Like, no! No! Oh my God. Oh no, that would not work. That is so terrible. Oh my God, bro. That shit gave me it gave me an anxiety attack. I'm not even gonna lie.
After several loud bangs, a big Australian spider reluctantly creeps out of its hiding spot. The eerie arachnid's dark brown markings around the legs could belong to the huntsman spider, which will defend itself if provoked. This video also has a disturbing backstory. Their daughter felt something brush across her foot while putting on this shoe and started screaming, which would have been my reaction as well. Having Australian spiders in your house, let alone in your shoes, is way too creepy to think about for long, so let's keep this countdown list moving. Number 8. This mysterious video...
Bro, that is a fucking genuine fear of mine, bro. I am fucking terrified of spiders. I'm not even gonna lie. Spiders scare me more than anything else on, I feel like planet Earth. I hate spiders with everything that I've got to give, okay? There is nothing else that I dislike more than spiders.
Footage posted on Reddit on May 7th, 2022, has caught an unexplained event on camera.
What the f is this? Can you hear this, man?
Anyone else heard of these strange noises, they ask?
11 o'clock. There's nothing. What is this? The actual
It's between 11 and 12 at night when they hear really weird noises that they cannot explain. And over 100 responses later, others claim to have heard the same strange sounds that night, some as far as France. Skeptics say the strange event was caused by a train or otherwise some late-night garbage trucks. However, the uploader says that they've lived here for 3 years and have never experienced any scary stuff like this. What was this eerie event that woke up so many people throughout the world?
I don't know, but it sounded like somebody was busting shots.
Number 7. Let's take a look at some unforgettably creepy photos of possibly haunted caves in Lone Pine, California. While exploring around the base of the entrance, these hikers realized these dark cave tunnels might not be abandoned after all. It looks like a figure crouching down looking out of the cave, writes the uploader of these weird photos. They cannot explain much more about why these photos are so unsettling, but I might be able to help. Upon further examination, there seems to be a possible face looking back at them. They describe it as a humanoid figure, all curled up in the small space. The head is looking down and to the right. Can you see the ghoulish face with sharp features, a pale round head, and pointy left ear? Other scared responses from locals warn of a weird feeling in reaction to being watched from above. One comment even claims to have felt a ghostly or demonic presence from this exact spot when they heard gravel moving and looked up. Is there a strange cave creature watching all hikers who go near? Scary
Possibly.
stuff if true.
But I don't.
Number
I don't know.
6.
I still think that's Caparoni.
This creepy video comes from a ghost hunting exploration in California by the SFP Paranormal Society 1. They're investigating the attic of a haunted house for ghosts when strange and scary things are caught on camera to scare them.
That's good though.
All right, yeah.
Go hang the bounty ball. Oh, you see that?
Watch the creepy clip a second time. And you'll see a mysterious white light anomaly dancing in front of the camera. A possible paranormal experience with a ghost orb, they believe. They cannot explain if this white light anomaly is a dust particle or a ghost orb. And so they set up their paranormal equipment in the area where it was last spotted. That's when more creepy stuff is caught on camera to further convince them that this is evidence of a real ghost encounter. They feel a paranormal presence all around, and the ghost meter lights all the way up when they ask if the ghost is shy.
Are you shy? Whoa.
Later, they notice a large beach ball is moving by itself and manage to get the eerie activity caught on camera. At 10 seconds, I think I even hear an EVP of a ghostly groan. They're freaked out to watch the ball move back and forth by an unseen force, and they take the item down from the shelf. They keep the camera running and exit the building to see if the shy ghost will appear after they leave. That's when more strange things are caught on camera coming out of the ball. A mysterious blinking white light flashes a few times and then is not seen again.
Not scary.
Is this a real ghost caught on camera? If there is a non-paranormal explanation, I'd like to hear it so I can feel less creeped out. Number 5.
But it ain't scary.
A creepy clip of an unknown underwater creature somewhere in India has been freaking everyone out. In the short YouTube video, a strange humanoid with large black eyes can be briefly seen staring directly at the camera. Did some kind of scary sculpture sink to the bottom of this body of water? Did they find a live specimen that's roughly as large as a person? Number 4.
I think they here already.
If this creepy video is real, then this house is haunted. Check out these weird moments that they cannot explain. There's no sounds of wind to explain this event. According to them, a real ghost moves a ball in the front yard of a haunted house. But is this supposed paranormal activity being faked with a string? Or is this a real ghost caught on camera? Number 3. This paranormal investigation has caught some scary things on camera surrounding a haunted doll said to be possessed by a curse. According to the backstory, the creepy toy doll was found abandoned in the Detroit State Hospital in a children's ward. And weird stuff seems to happen to anyone who comes across it.
Like, to me, finding creepy dolls and bringing them home is like you deciding to play with a Ouija board. They're like equal. You know what I'm saying? They're equally as stupid. Like, I just don't understand it. Like, that's just dumb.
The person who found the figurine goes on to describe feeling haunted by nightmares ever since, and hearing EVPs in their house, as well as objects moving all on their own. That's some creepy stuff, considering this cursed item was supposedly found on the floor for troubled children, who claim to have seen similar frightening things. During this paranormal experiment, they believe they experience a supernatural response while recording a ghost meter inside of the doll's haunted display cabinet.
Were you messing with stuff? Okay.
But just to make sure this unusual activity is not a strange coincidence, they make one final request of the haunted doll to prove this paranormal evidence is real ghost footage.
Make it spike orange or red. Can you do that? Good job. You definitely hit orange. Can you hit red?
Wow.
Okay, you definitely can hit red.
The lights flash all the way to red with electromagnetic activity that he is certain is a paranormal reaction. And during these weird moments when he looks up to Savannah in disbelief, he is certain the doll is caught on tape moving. Does the right eye of this doll blink, or is it from the glare of the glass? These two still images, taken moments apart at 8 minutes and 29 seconds into the clip, do seem to show a slight change in shape around the doll's eye. Creepy stuff indeed.
And it didn't
Number
look like a
2.
reflection because the other reflections didn't change.
In this bizarre video,
That was weird.
office workers are afraid they've caught a ghost on CCTV.
What the fuck is that?
These creepy moments are why they think this hall might be haunted.
Yeah, chef. Please switch off your phone. We're going to see a ghost. I'm sorry. Buloy. Naso. HR.
They shriek in fear when this mysterious figure turns around to reveal a horrifying face, or rather, a lack thereof. They say this building has been haunted for a long time, but this almost certainly has to be a...
You see, like, I'm out. But at least he's doing his job. But I'm out. Like, you couldn't see some shit like that and not quit.
spooky costume instead of a real ghost sighting. Whoever's wearing this outfit is most likely much shorter and is looking through the chest in an opening.
Okay, that makes
Another
sense.
reason this weird video is most likely a costume instead of a real ghost is the use of gloves and a prop tray to conceal their hands. I think those explanations cover just about all the creepy
That
stuff
makes
in this
sense.
video that needs to be debunked. Number
That
1.
made sense.
Things get weird in this scary
Must
video
have been around
when
Halloween.
what's been described as actual ghost activity is caught on camera around the house. Watch closely and you'll see the light switch on the wall moves by itself. With that said, there is a slight delay from when the light turns off to when the switch moves. So were they faking this video somehow? Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like button.
I don't know. There was a few caparonis in there. Few caparonis. Definitely can't lie. Ooh, there's a new Nukes top 10 or top 5. Oh, snaps. All right, let's see. Oh, hold on, let me answer back this text. All right, let's jump into this. We got that new top 5. 1 second.
Top 5 ghosts caught on camera. Nick does life. Nick Martin from Clearfield, Pennsylvania dedicates his YouTube account to his dream of one day becoming the proud owner of a brand new RV to live in and travel the country. In one of his videos, Nick does a vlog post mentioning that sadly, one of his favorite RV Life YouTube channels might be quitting YouTube soon. As Nick casually paces back and forth through his house to help compose his thoughts, he suddenly captures something absolutely spine-chilling.
There's YouTubers on this platform that, you know, they're not like super like, what's the word I'm looking for here?
What looks like a headless dark figure can be seen standing in the hallway right behind Nick.
Bro,
Now, it was one of Nick's loyal viewers,
what is with all these like headless horseman ass fucking the ghost and shit? I mean, we know the last one was like just a cap, but what the like? How we gonna follow it up with one that is not that shit? Don't look like so. What the fuck?
who actually noticed the creepy apparition and emailed me about the video. She also reached out to Nick, who reacts somewhat confused and just explains that, hey, I don't make ghost videos. Of course, I then got in contact with Nick, who is absolutely shocked by what he captured. Nick says
That
he's
would be
seen and
creepy. I
heard some
would've-
strange things in his
leave.
life, but never really
Leave.
thought much about them. Nick says he has no idea who or what this horrifying headless figure could be.
You know what? That would be such a beautiful thing to just have such ignorant bliss. You know what I'm saying? He's not even scared because he's just so ignorant to the fact that shit's even happening around him. Like he just doesn't care. He's just like bloom, bloom, RVing. I'm gonna go buy an RV and I'm gonna drive and I'm going to RV and live in my RV. Like that's all he's worried about is his RV life. You know what I'm saying? Like he's just like squirrel. Like, bro.
What do you think? Share your thoughts down in the comments.
If you guys point some scary shit.
The Grain Fort Tunnels. British paranormal enthusiast Steve Ballard often conducts extensive explorations of old abandoned tunnels and forts. In this particular video, Steve is joined by his friend Stuart as they investigate the historic underground Grain Fort tunnels in Kent, England. The fort was built during the 1860s and survived 2 world wars, but later the fort was left abandoned and the actual structure was demolished. However, the underground tunnels beneath the Grain Fort are still there over 150 years later.
Damn.
Steve is showing his friend around the winding maze of halls and empty rooms when his equipment begins to act strangely.
Oh, my torch is just going out.
Fucking lights start going off down there.
That's charge. I'll charge it up today before I come out.
What was that thing in the hole?
That's weird. That's weird. Oh, that was weird, people. My torch just went out. And it went out here last time as well.
That graffiti.
When I come down here the first time, Stu, I could feel someone breathing down my neck. Literally breathing right down my neck. Hello? Is anyone here?
Steve recalls a creepy event from a past visit, but little does he know that their current exploration is about to become much more disturbing.
Oh, you should go back. That's why it got more disturbing, because your ass went back.
Is there anyone here? Oh, why is that doing that? Stu, I'll kick it in the shadows going past this light down here.
Run.
On that lock-off camera.
Just run.
Look at my phone. That's weird. Look, watch my phone. If you turn it off a minute, watch my phone. Wait. Watch. See it?
Bruh. You need to just run.
That's gone. Yeah, it keeps going off. Yeah. It's almost like there's something going in front of that light down there. Yeah.
A strange shadow blocks out a faint light in one of the tunnels, almost as if someone or something is walking back and forth. Although a little creeped out, the 2 friends continue their investigation. What happens next is downright chilling.
This tunnel is it's amazing, isn't it? Really smart, really clean. Yeah. And it's dry, look. It's the best part. Yeah.
Did you see it?
Yeah.
A shadow-like figure can be seen walking through the tunnel right in front of the 2 friends. They don't see it, but Steve is shocked when he looks back at his footage. Now Steve has no idea who or what this could have been, and creepiest of all, whatever it is, doesn't make a sound. Now, if you notice, Steve and Stuart's footsteps are loud as they echo through the tunnel system. But whatever this is, it makes no audible sound at all as it hurries across the end of the tunnel.
It's amazing, isn't it? Really smart, really clean. Yeah. And it's dry, look. It's the best part. Yeah.
So what do you think this could be?
I don't know.
Let me know down in the comments.
To have to worry about.
You can watch this entire exploration over on the YouTube channel, Steve Ballard, The Stowaway.
I mind my business. So
Friends David and Dell from the YouTube channel Signs and Signals are out in the middle of the night to explore the abandoned Zion Presbyterian Church Cemetery, which was founded all the way back in 1851. The graveyard sits isolated, deep in the countryside of South Carolina. David and Dell find themselves in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by woods and graves.
Dude. Always some crazy.
Dude, this place looks old, man. Like,
Well,
Big time old.
There's no church on the other side of it.
1850
There's nothing but woods from what I can see. It's dark as
1851 or
hell.
whatever it
Report
was.
everything.
It's over 100
I can't see
years old,
anything.
so
Oh, you got that stuff. Zion. I mean, that's got a church. That says a church cemetery. Where's the church?
I don't know about this one, man.
yeah, I'm not going in there.
Why do we choose to do one that's like out in the woods?
Because we live out near the woods. I mean, at first glance, this has got to be one of the creepiest looking graveyards I've ever seen.
Go check out what it is.
I mean, look at these like crosses. I mean, just saying, like, you see them? Why are there pineapples right there?
Oh, you hear that?
Yeah, I'm not
What
walking
was
in
that?
that shit, bro.
You hear that?
What up, Jane?
That is right here. Like right.
Oh,
Gas demons.
David and Dell are obviously a little creeped out by the eerie atmosphere of the cemetery and joke around to keep everything a bit more lighthearted. But all that changes when David suddenly hears something moving right behind him.
I can't tell.
Yeah.
what is squatting in the bushes?
Go, Dale. Saw. I don't know what I saw. I don't know what I saw. I thought it was a person.
David sees someone watching him from the bushes, and he bolts away in terror. He warns Dell about what he just saw, and they decide to just get the out of
Just
there.
leave.
Now, the two friends in no way claim that this terrifying encounter is even anything paranormal. In fact, David believes that he saw just a real person, creepily sitting there in the bushes in a graveyard, in the middle of nowhere. And as I've always said on this channel, sometimes real people are way scarier than anything paranormal, especially weirdos hiding in graveyards.
Cemetery.
But who or what this actually is remains a mystery. Months later, and after many viewer requests, David and Dell gather their courage and
they
decide
go
to
back.
explore the cemetery once again. Nothing much happens, but as David reviews their footage, he finds something that shocks him to his core.
You ever heard like a bunny mask, like a birthday mask? See, to me, I can see why people would say maybe it's a mask. I really can't tell. At first, I couldn't even tell where the head was. You know what I mean? All I saw was just that something was moving. But the more and more, like after you edited and everything, and we looked at it on the screen and not on the phone, then you can tell it's like something like,
Bro,
Yeah,
his head up.
he just they took somebody home. Holy shit.
Without either of them knowing, someone opens up the back of David's car and just kinda hops inside. David and Dell then drive the same car all the way back home. David says that in the morning after their visit to the cemetery, he found the back of his car open, but nothing inside was missing. It goes without saying
bro,
that
he
he's
found they
worried
had a
that
hitchhiker
now
that just
whoever
left
was in the
and get
back
back
of the
to
car
town.
with them knows
That is
where he
crazy,
lives.
bro.
So what do you think is going on here? Could
That
this just
shit
be a
is
homeless
crazy,
stranger
bro.
that was looking for a free ride? Or is it something much, much worse?
What up,
Let me
Jason?
know what you think. You can watch this creepy
Yeah,
encounter
yeah,
and
for
many
sure.
more over on the YouTube channel, Signs and
That
Signals.
shit's wild, bro.
Before we move on to the next video, if you see anything that you think should be included in the top 5, contact us at nukestop5@gmail.com. The Goodwill Ghost Doll. TikTok user James Fodder bought a very creepy doll at his local Goodwill. At the time, a store employee warned James that the doll's previous owner was in a rush to get rid of it because she believed it was very haunted. James didn't believe in the paranormal and knew the doll was worth quite a bit of money, so he bought it and took it home. That's when he realized that he had made a huge mistake. James began to hear voices. The doors in his home started to open and close on their own. And scariest of all, he started seeing strange shadowy shapes around his home. James decided to place the doll on a chair in an empty room with a motion-activated
That's
camera
fucking
monitoring
creepy.
it. What he captures is downright creepy.
The fuck was that?
The camera moves around as if tracking movement somewhere in the empty room.
It's trying
But
to.
nothing's moving. Then a small dark shape can be seen quickly moving across the floor in the hallway behind the doll.
Furby or
James explains
gremlin
that
or
the
some
camera
shit.
only moves when it senses physical motion. So he has no idea why the camera would be moving when there's nothing there. Another night of filming, and when James checks his camera footage, he is shocked.
Bruh, burn that shit down. Fuck that. Bruh, you need to just burn it to the ground. Just burn it down.
The camera still moves all around, seemingly tracking something that
I
we
might have
can't
just put the
see.
little, you know, on that little,
Then
that shit was
the
crazy.
doll seems to just start moving all on its own. James says that he was a skeptic before all this, but that he now 100% believes that the doll he brought home from Goodwill has a paranormal entity attached to it.
Yeah.
But what do you think is happening
Send
here?
that shit back.
Is it real, or is it all just an elaborate hoax? You decide. Just below the surface, urban explorer ILM Mbano Paranormal is back on another exploration, this time at an abandoned underground heating plant shelter somewhere in the middle of the forest in the Czech Republic. Just to be safe, Bono inspects the entire complex to make sure that he's completely alone before he even starts to explore. Then he leaves some of his extra belongings in one of the shelter's rooms and starts his investigation. Now, almost immediately, things take a bizarre turn.
All these small rooms. Yeah, this is just, I'm gonna go there. So later, this is the room. Close it.
Oh, bro, we've seen this one before.
This is the room where I have my stuff. This is the little thing I keep my gimbal in because it's kind of fragile. But
Yep. Yeah, fuck that. Time to go. Get your shit and leave.
hello?
The door to the room that he had just closed seconds before appears to swing open by itself. Now, of course, this could simply just be caused by a draft, but as Bono continues to explore through the underground complex, things just get much, much weirder.
Yeah, and this is the second entrance. Here are freak, that scared me. Is that?
Bruh.
Hello?
Who are you yelling hello to?
Okay, so No, wait, this. It's not plugged in.
That's creepy.
You see the wire? Okay.
An old unplugged phone rings as if it's still working. Bono inspects the phone but finds no explanation as to how the phone could have rung. So now he begins to get more and more creeped out, being underground and completely alone in this sprawling shelter. But Bono is determined to keep recording, and he scouts through more and more empty rooms and creepy hallways.
Keep going. I would have left.
So I'm here at the entrance. It's
Hey, go up
already
the stairs,
kind
leave.
of dark, and I went again through the whole complex, and there's just no one there. So either they ran away, or I don't know, they did it remotely, or it's just like the phone is haunted. I don't know. I like to not think that someone is caused by haunting till it's just completely till you just can't explain it by anything, by anything, but no.
What looks like a heavy metal plate seems to rise up from the ground on its own and then falls. Bono is freaked out and makes a run for it. But unfortunately, Bono realizes that he has left his belongings back inside one of the rooms. And so he has to go back in to collect them. What happens next is chilling.
I would have just let it be.
It was kind of far, but I think in this direction.
Don't go towards it. Just go get your shit and leave.
I think it was far, but okay. I have to go for my stuff, so.
Look at those handprints on the wall.
A deep rumble makes Bono freeze in his tracks. He tries to determine where the sound came from, and as he goes to check it out, well, did you see it?
Yeah, and it left
A dark figure can be seen peeking from around the corner at the end of the hallway. The explorer doesn't even notice and walks right past where the figure appeared. It wasn't until later, when viewers of his YouTube channel pointed out the strange peeker, that Bono realized what he had captured. He says he has no idea who or what this could be.
It left
So,
fingerprints. Did you see that
it's up
shit?
to you to decide. You can watch this entire investigation over on the YouTube channel, ILMN Bono Paranormal.
No thanks.
Contamination. So for the people who stayed around all the way till the end, I have one more video that is very creepy, but honestly, just a little too good to be true. In this video, two Japanese friends can be seen hiking deep into the woods on a nature trail somewhere in Japan. It's starting to get dark when one of the guys becomes very ill. His friend hurries off to find a restroom on the trail to bring back water for his sick friend. And this is where the peaceful hiking trip turns into the stuff of nightmares.
おい大丈夫かおいマジ大丈夫かよ動ける水持ってくるわちょ待てるあじゃあ水持ってくるからちょっとここで待っててじゃあちょっとじってくるから 4月来たな。だいぶ暗くなってきた。急ぐが。あいつ危ないからな。早く行かないと。どっから入るんだこれ。こっからでいいのかな。おっくそ。こっちだな。ちゃんととか。汚いなもう。殺していかなきゃ。何？誰かいるの？ちょっと。やめてよ。なんで水を？なんでいいの？
What the fuck did you just see?
Creepy giggling can be heard from somewhere inside the restroom. Then the guy's sick friend, who he left far behind on the trail, is suddenly standing right behind him in the reflection of the restroom mirror. But
no
something about his friend just does not look quite right. Then someone grabs the guy's arm, and as he looks up, he sees a woman with a diseased-looking face who quickly disappears right before his eyes. Horrible, moldy scratches are left on his arm, and when he looks in the mirror, he recoils in horror. Now, it's totally fake, but this video definitely completely creeped me out the first time I saw it. So I thought I would share, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Thanks so much for watching. My posting schedule right now makes just no sense, so please...
Because Renee just did my hair earlier today. That's why. But shout out to Liz. What's up? Man, that shit was crazy. Anyways, it's time to hop off. Man, that was a wild ass last video. Like, I knew it was fake, but like that was some good ass shit right there. That was a part of a scary movie. That was some good shit. Like that right there was some good shit. But anyways, man, I love you guys. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification, do what you got to do. Consider joining if you want to join. And yeah, we'll catch y'all tomorrow. And I'll be getting up and making some shit happen as far as getting some reactions done. And yeah, you know what I'm saying? Catch y'all on the flip side. All right, y'all have a good goddamn Monday night.